Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to everybody from various jurisdictions around the world we see for our webinar with Ilya today. So we are going to start off with, I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction to Ilya, and then I'll ask him to tell you a little bit more about himself. He is in the engineering discipline, so this is a unique opportunity to learn all about engineering education and STEM subjects. We all know how difficult they can be. So first of all, a very warm welcome to Dr. Ilya Kavalchuk, and I'm sure I have not pronounced that name correctly,
It
but
was very good.
excellent. Okay, we're off to a good start. So Ilya and I met probably about a year ago, I would say at this point. Ilya is in the School of Engineering at Swinburne University in Melbourne, and he is renowned for being an exceptional academic in terms of his focus on student outcomes, student experience, and we all hear about the great feedback that he gets from students. And when you hear what he has done today, that probably won't surprise you. The other thing that Ilya probably won't share with you that I'm keen to share with you is that after many innovations and so on over the last year he has implemented, he won the award for the School of Engineering for the most improved unit, which is no mean feat, I can tell you. So congratulations on that, Ilya. It's an amazing feat. And of course, he also joined us recently at our Quitch showcase and presented on the findings and so on from the implementation of Quitch across a couple of units that he had in engineering. So we also will hopefully have an opportunity for you to ask some questions. So any you have, please pop them in the Q&A tab at the bottom, and Ilya and I will get to those towards the end of the session. So to begin with, Ilya, I have many questions for you. But first of all, could you do a bit of an introduction of and tell people a little bit more about yourself? Thank you.
So, hello everyone. Thank you, Gran, for inviting me because I think it's really cool opportunity to share what we do and how we do it and how the Swinburne and our teaching makes a difference for the students. So I'm talking about myself like I've been around. I worked in many different universities, not only in Australia, but also worldwide. So I taught in Australia at Deakin University, RMIT, now in Swinburne. I worked at RMIT Vietnam, in Vietnam, definitely. And also I worked in Saudi Arabia, I worked in United Arab Emirates, including leadership in program leadership and college leadership in those countries. My teaching philosophy, I think this is what would interest you, was more and always is in applied teaching, in hands-on delivery of the content, and in engineering, it means it's project-based, project design-based learning, and its variations. I don't want my students to just sit in the classroom and listen to me talking and sharing my experiences or some theories. There are many resources that they can access now, and most of them for free, which might explain it better than any of us. I want them to do something that they can use in their career later on, including what they do is they take with them to the interviews and really flip the interview process. So prototyping, making something that buzz, moves, blows, whistles. This is my strategy. Of course, it makes them own their learning better, and throughout the strategies, it shows that the engagement is significantly higher when they understand what they do, when they see what they do, and when they understand why it is important. So this is my sort of academic careers.
Fantastic. I love it, Ilya. It's a great philosophy, I've got to say. I've got a couple of questions for you, as we said. So you talked to me before about your engineering technology sustainability project and the engineering innovation project. So what I wanted to specifically ask you about that, what challenges did you have in those units before you introduced Quitch? What were some of the challenges you faced?
So let's first set the scenery a little bit about the units.
Right.
So we are talking about some innovative approach that School of Engineering now owns, and which was implemented about 5 years ago. So the project was called Work Integrated Learning Spine Units, and those two units are part of this transition. So as we wanted to give more of this hands-on industry-related experience to our students, the engineering programs were redesigned at Swinburne to include every semester project-based, project-driven courses, which would provide not only hard skills for the unit that they replaced, but also to give opportunity for a soft skill and creative skills to be developed among the students. And those two units, sustainability and innovation projects, they fit into the third year of not most, but some engineering programs. So I'm currently a lecturer in robotics and mechatronics, and those units fit in robotics and mechatronics degree. But also it is delivered to the students who undertake electrical engineering, software engineering, and biomedical engineering, which provides a unique opportunity not only to develop soft skills as discussing with like-minded people, the people whom you see in all of your classes, but also it introduces close cross-disciplinary collaboration between different perspectives. Biomedical students will have their own insights, software will give their own insights, and that's what makes our spine unit so unique. In terms of delivery, again, to understand, because the delivery schedule did
Yeah.
not change since the introduction, as it's a third year unit, we included a weekly workshop called seminar, which is delivered for all students enrolled in the course in one go, in form of sort of like a lecture, but a little bit more interactive. Not as much as you would imagine, because more than 100 students in each unit in every semester, but it's more to set up the topic for the week and give the overarching ideas for the student that then later on in the week they would implement in the workshops. As you know, all the courses these days are delivered in, at best, hybrid mode, and the seminars also were delivered in the hybrid mode. I was not involved from the beginning in 3002. I joined for the second and third delivery of the unit, where with 4011 innovation project, I was involved in the development of the unit from the get-go. The challenge that we observed is that the students, as far as they engaged and interested in their projects, which is discussed with their facilitator during during tutorials, 2-hour tutorials, the general knowledge that we want to deliver during seminars, which are not usually directly applied to the projects right away, they got underlooked. In the first semester, on top of seminars being not exactly directly connected from the get-go for the students, we had additional pressure with the scheduling, as the seminars were delivered after 8:30. It was 7:30 to 8:30 or 8:30 to 9:30 schedule in the evening. And as you can imagine, the such late delivery did not spike the attendance that well. Also, in the first delivery, despite having a very interesting product development and design related tasks, we noted the students, they don't not only not attending the lectures, but they don't pay attention to what seminar was about. We did try to put seminars as closely linked to the assessments, as closely linked to the tasks they do in the workshops, but still, as a facilitator in the workshop, with attendance being about 75 to 80% on average, I felt that I need to have a recap of the seminar, in most cases reteaching it yet again, meaning that the seminar engagement was very low. When I started analyzing the Canvas modules, which would consist the lecture slides, which would consist of seminar slides, seminar materials, I noted that out of 150 approximately students enrolled, we had pages with views of about 15 students. So you can imagine about 10% of students actually would open and check those pages, meaning that all the effort we put in developing and delivering those material actually got wasted. As far as these topics also have impact on the assessments, we noted that those topics were not properly discussed and addressed in the assessments, meaning again that not all unit learning outcomes were attained by students, as we can observe based on the results and their final solutions, reports, presentations. So
Okay.
there were times, or the time has come where it's like there is a gap. There is a
Yeah.
definite requirement for students to engage in seminar material. And by delivering better seminars, that cannot be achieved. The students will not see the link. And at the same time, both of these units, what is the pressure and why we cannot deliver project-related seminars? The projects are open-ended and the students set and choose their own topic. For example, in sustainable projects, I have in one workshop the guys who delivering a robot which is used for agriculture, the stadium, the smart rubbish bin, and the seeding bot. And as you can feel, they're all so different. They require slightly different ideas that we cannot deliver seminars, we cannot deliver lectures tailored for all those projects.
Yeah.
And this is where we were introduced to Quitch as a new platform. And for me, it was like a, eureka lamp. Yep, that's what we need.
Yeah. And so Ilya, on that then, let's talk a little bit about the integration of Quitch and the approach you use. So how did you integrate Quitch into the existing unit structure? How did you go about that so people can understand?
So Quitch, as you know, is a great gamification tool. It makes students compete with each other to some extent. And how to set up this competition on top of the projects is to have this leaderboard. And what I've done is I added a Quitch activity after each seminar for both of the units. So completing the Quitch became a tool to engage students with the material and make them watch, make them analyze seminar on a different basis, in more depth. Then in the beginning of each workshop, I would allocate 10 minutes usually, which we would spend anyway for waiting for students who comes late, waiting for teams to gather together, and who comes, then they would be engaged with Quitch. At the same time, the students who are really interested, they would get the Quitch and do it before coming to class. Having the traffic light system, it provided me with more analyzed approach towards what I talk in the tutorial. Instead of me trying to boost and tell them and recap the seminar, the workshop would be allocated to recap what was not understood from the seminar. So after 10 minutes or throughout 10 minutes, I would have my Quitch open and my teacher method. I wouldn't care about the leaderboard. What I would care is about the questions that I asked, because they would be based on the topics we deliver in the seminar, and which questions would get green rating, yellow rating, or even red rating. And I knew that, okay, red rating means I need to recap that. We need to repeat it. Green rating means, okay, all good. We did a good job. The students did watch it, did read it, at least, and they understood the topic. So it saved my time. So I didn't need to recap every seminar now, and the students would focus on what is important.
Fantastic. And that's exactly, I think, Ilya, that, this was built with educators, as you know, and that was one of the key things. How do we as educators know in real time where are those knowledge gaps? And so we're not wasting time on something 80% of them understood straight away, but we know what we do need to focus on. And so, Ilya, on that, the next question I have for you is, can you describe your experience and process for creating Quitch content and how you delivered that to the students? Or more, I guess, the creation of the content, because you already talked a little about the delivery after your seminars.
So I think the creation of the content, that's something that you guys can learn from me. Me being experienced in different areas with different softwares and platforms gave me the push to explore. And I wanted the Quitch to become a comprehensive tool. So the first sort of iteration for those two units that we are discussing today, as the results already were implemented, like we have implemented, tested, we have some outcome and feedback. So we can observe that variety of question was really high. So I didn't just put MCQs and true and false. I used the whole variety of questions except the open-ended, just because we're using these tools and Quitch is a great tool for engagement, but it has some potential, but cannot I didn't see it being useful for assessment for summative assessments, more like formative assessment.
Mhm.
Meaning that I use tricky questions, and we are talking about not multiple choice, but multiple selection, when the students would need to select more than one correct answer, and also very advanced drag and drop questions. So the interface of Quitch is very welcoming, and it really ha supported me to create those questions. It was relatively easy to set them up and to make them get go. The variety of question was sufficient back at the day, and probably we might talk a bit more what's happening now. And back in the day, it was about a year ago. I, to be honest, didn't use much AI creation.
Mhm.
But I created all the questions myself. So I knew for 2011 the full schedule as far as I was involved in developing of the course. And it was very easy to set up all the quizzes quite quickly. Also, we scheduled them with the seminars, knowing the schedule of the seminars, they would be open for students. So it requires a bit of work every semester, but then once you do it, then it's just more about timing and release time and release dates for the quizzes, not to overwhelm students with the content. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Mm.
there were potentially, actually, we did observe some blimps, I think, on the development stage, and I was engaged with Gran and her team on development with the feedback, and I think we had very productive and successful exercise. And as I was redefining some questions, redeveloping them midway this year for the second delivery of the units, uh, actually most of those glitches were gone, and I think now it works really well.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think, Ilya, from my perspective and our team's perspective as well, it's been great working with you. I mean, we really consider it like co-design because you're there at the cold face, you're able to give that feedback, so it's fantastic. So I think that works really well. So we look forward to continuing to
For
co-create
sure,
with you
we have,
into the future. And
yeah.
Ilya, just moving on from what you had said, so that was very interesting about the creation of the content and so on. And then the next thing I want to really to cover was if we look at the engagement and the performance outcomes. So from our discussions with you, you saw a significant lift in seminar engagement, up to 150% indeed at its peak. And I'm curious as to what do you think drove those results? Because that's a huge increase.
Look, first of all, of course, now students have a meaning to engage with the seminar material. As simple as that. It's not just we deliver seminar and then, oh yeah, let's work on the projects, let's discuss more whatever arises from technical problems for the project. Now they have time and space to reflect on the seminar material. And we design the question in the way that they have to engage with the seminar material. And there are no answers like, uh, you might know it. No, you have to do it again. The competitive nature also kicked in, not for all students, I have to admit, but for the best students, that was really funny to see how throughout the semester, even within one workshop, there were like, yeah, I've done the quiz. Yeah, I took first place. And then from the other table, not for long. And then another guy like, yeah, I got like 10 points more. The students cannot see the names, but when they do the quiz, and when they do the quiz sort of in the same room, it really works really well.
Mm.
What I also practice in terms of delivery is I ask students to answer the questions together and spike the discussion about what they're doing. And that also worked really well. So during the workshops, we put the students in their teams so they do know people whom they work with. So when they do the quiz, it would spike the questions and discussions about the seminar topic and the tasks, ideas that we have delivered. The quiz re-emphasized that. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to create something uh, on one side that generic, on the other side that specific. But then the quiz with the questions and the way how we created this question, especially as I said, complicated one. The complicated, I mean the drag and drop or a multiple selection one.
Mhm.
they did spike this discussion. And it's really great to see the students talking about that, the students engaging with the material. And yeah, that's what I think will help.
Yeah, and I think Ilya, I mean, that's a really important point because Quitch has been built as an engagement tool. So I think anywhere where we can get that, improve that discussion among students, get them to dive deeper into what the content is, explain to each other why they think that's correct and that's not correct, and so on. It's just a amazingly rich learning for the students as well, because there's nothing like, I think, trying to teach somebody else something as a student to really cement that knowledge to your, committed to your long-term memory. I think is a great way to do that. And Ilya, on that, you're talking about the students understanding content. I wanted to ask specifically, did you notice a difference in how students understood or applied the theoretical concepts that you were delivering?
Look, I think this is the best outcome that we could observe. I will use a specific example of a specific topic. So in innovation project, one of the challenging topics that we faced not being attained well was related to standards, uh, commercialization of innovation, patents, trademarks, and a general budget planning for a startup. So we want students to be engaged in innovation activity, not only let's create something new, but also how to promote, how to sell it, how to market it. And as you can imagine, engineering students, they all into numbers, coding, again, moving parts when parts are not moving and the parts of the task are not moving or not doing bzz, 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 then they're not very keen on that. In the first delivery, we did see very low attainment of those skills. And as I said, we had about 10 or 15 views of the modules related to that. And then the students, as far as during workshops, it was the key prototyping weeks, they really overlooked those topics. Now, when we have Quitch, we put extra emphasis on this topic. We put extra challenging questions for that. And we sort of made it compulsory in the workshop. So even though, as you know, we want to spend more time discussing technical stuff, we wanted these Quitch topics to be looked and to be analyzed prior, especially to the final reports and final assessments. So we allocated additional time and did after all those topics were delivered, I allocated about 15 minutes block for the students and sort of, I know it doesn't sound that great, sort of force them to complete these 3 quizzes in one go for those who haven't done it. And yeah, that was a big success because we could see a big boost of the quality of financial evaluation, how people tackled the standardization tasks. And I saw some absolutely outstanding examples of standardization planning with people going, with some students going to the legal extent, analyzing all the standards and drawing the whole line, how they're going to use it. And I think the Quitch was a very good stepping stone for students to evaluate what they're working on and raise the average bar from ooh, we use some standards to, okay, we use these specific standards for these specific classes. As in innovation, we are focusing on biomedical products. So we're talking about biomedical, and biomedical standardization is a very harsh environment. So the students now forced to go, even if they're not from biomedical, beyond what they would just look into. This is what we use, and from Simple Search.
Beautiful. I love your work, Ilya, I must say. And on that, talking about the students and their improved performance and so on, did you actually receive any notable feedback from students, Ilya?
Look, again, we got our feedback just yesterday. It's always a
Okay.
great timing for what's going
Right,
on.
okay.
So, the sustainability project was in semester 1 once the Quitch was introduced. It was rated as the most improved, one of the most improved courses, School of Engineering, and Quitch was one of the building stones in that. And it maintained its high quality in semester 2. The innovation project also demonstrates very steady high performance with student feedback being high. well above 8.5 for me as a teacher and also for the course itself. Uh, Keep it in mind that both of these courses also were revamped to the way that probably we cannot use it as positively. So we are maintaining a very strict academic integrity and results. So in innovation project, if the project doesn't work as startup, it cannot be converted into startup. That would not be HD. As brutal as that, and as you can imagine, we get very, very few projects which was that, meaning that I cannot say the results are so better. However, it's not because of students not performing better. They are doing very well. It's more about that we becoming very strict and we want very high quality ideas to come through. So this is why the results remain the same sort of, and they were reduced, but they were not reduced because of lower engagement. They were reduced because we really revamped the marking criteria. And we do have some students who are not happy with that, who got spoiled potentially, who got the idea that, oh, once we do presentation, it's HD, which was not the case. And, yeah, the I haven't heard any complaints about Quitch, any complaints about workload created by Quitch. Again, engagement is better, and the students, they don't always see how better it works. And especially the topics like sustainability and product development, innovation, and managing of all those portfolios of patents that will come a bit later on. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
I
And
think is a good
Ilya, on
outcome.
that, there was a comment you'd made during the showcase, if I remember correctly, about the number of questions about assessments and so on are coming up to you was significantly reduced. Is that correct?
Oh yes, that's I think one of the hidden benefit of the quiz, which
Mm.
we cannot measure through student satisfaction or engagement, but we as an academic, being stressed and always under time pressure with our emails specifically, we all know this. When the time of assessment comes, when submission deadline is approaching, then you will start getting and hearing from people whom you have not heard for the whole weeks before that, asking some questions like, so when is the deadline? Even though the deadline would be written in three places on Canvas, on learning management system, depending what you use, it's written, the deadline is there. And then it will start asking you, what do I need to include in my report, in my presentation, in my talk? What should I not include in there? Even though it would be discussed on the lecture, it would be discussed in the workshop, it would have this description on Canvas learning management system. So we can be very explicit, but still the students would not look into that. Being able to integrate questions and what we deliver in the seminars regarding to assessments in Quitch provided students with already set questions for them. So when is the deadline? And now instead of them asking us, we ask them. As far as the quiz delivered before the deadline and before the workshop, as usual, deadlines will be on Sunday, where the workshops would be Wednesday, Thursday, and the seminar would be on Monday, they have 5 days to reflect on that after the seminar. And then on the workshop, they're like, oh, okay, so we know where is the deadline, so they're not going to ask you. Also, we would include, let's say, structure, we would include the key topics, we would include some questions about the marking rubrics. You don't need to be very explicit. You put 1, 2 questions on that, like 5 questions on assessment in total. And wow, the number of emails, I'm not kidding. I think this semester I received maybe one email in a semester about assessment. And
Wow.
I know the other guys did the same, where previously it was every second student would send. So from 50 emails for each assessment, we are down to maybe 5 emails top throughout
That
the
saves a lot of
semester.
time.
And that
That's
saves a lot of time
incredible.
for us.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah. And our time is precious as academics. Now that's incredible, Ilya. Ilya, we're almost out of time, but I've got, if I can ask you one more, it's more advice and looking forward. Um, what advice would you give to educators looking to introduce gamified learning?
uh, we should understand whom we're dealing with. And the generations have changed significantly. And most of our old tricks that we used to use before would not work. And gamification and quick, rapid gamification is one of the way how we can reach the minds of these new generations coming through. We had long discussions about that. And I think Quitch is one of the good tools which can provide you with these quick, very rapid gamification tools to ensure that the student understand what you want, what you delivered, they attain the knowledge, and they really understand and respect what you talk with them.
Mm.
Not everywhere it might fit well, but if you deliver, if you know what you deliver and you can see how the Quitch can be integrated, that can be absolutely amazing tool. And now being able to test some further features like AI questions creation, and also there is a numeric questions which came to Quitch, which are, I think, one of the best numeric question editing tool. I know it was very long that I have seen in all learning management systems because it's very intuitive and really easy to implement. Yeah, I think that becomes more and more amazing tool now. Now, just to give you some insights, I'm developing a new unit currently, which will be a very big one. It will be the first year all engineering, about 600 students. And to save time and ensure delivery of all advanced content within it, Quitch is used as a delivery tool as well. And I developed the unit with the thinking that, okay, Quitch will be integral part of it. There will be at least 2 scheduled Quitches in that. And it's a great way for students to engage and cooperate.
Wonderful. Ilya, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. But more importantly, those like really, really incredible insights that you've been able to offer. And I think they go beyond engineering, actually. I think we can take those insights and look at them, whichever kind of discipline we tend to teach into. But Ilya, I also wanted to say thank you on behalf of your students, because there's not a single doubt in my mind that you're making a significant impact, not just on their learning while at university, but the way you're implementing the learning that is going to give them a great career path. So
Thank you.
hands off to you. I think it's incredible what you're doing.
Just,
Ilya,
just
if okay with you, hopefully I can share your video and
sure.
record it online with people, and perhaps they can reach out to you if they have any questions.
Sure, guys, you can send me an email to my Swinburne email, or you can engage with me on LinkedIn. And just one, highlight that what we do. I have a student who did sustainable project in the first semester, and in second semester he was applying for jobs. He was getting rejection, rejection, rejection. And I told him, take your project with you. He took the project from the first interview. He got higher and better placement position for a year than he hoped for. It
One
works.
fantastic. Yeah, and they're the kind of stories we love to hear. Ilya, we've got a comment from one of the people in the webinar that said, really great information. Thank you. So Ilya,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much again. And to
Thank you.
everybody who joined us today, so Ilya's the recording will become available for you. We'll share that on LinkedIn. And please do feel free to reach out to Ilya or myself, and you can contact us at hello@quitch.com as well. And thanks everybody for joining us today. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for your
much.
attention. Bye.
Bye now. Thank you, Ilya.